Good evening, everyone. We're here in WMT, and it's still, the fire is still raging in the Los Angeles greater Los Angeles area. And the one that where it started, Pacific Palisades, I'm very sorry to let you know that there's a lot of damages, like 5,000 structures. And Thomas's parents' house was lost as well. So we're very sorry about that. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims of the fire and all over. And we want to also express our gratitude and support for the firefighters, the brave firefighters and first responders who have been most courageous and made a lot of sacrifices. Even one firefighter got injured so far. Also, I feel that we got a little bit of help from the dragons in that the wind died down a lot, so that now they're able to do air assault on the fire, which really helps control it. And of course, we understand they're supposed to be wind, but we hope that they will cooperate and not create wind in the areas that affect the fire fighting and aspire spreading. Okay, and pushing our luck. We hope there's more moisture coming soon. The sooner the better, because it's very combustible right now. I didn't realize it's been this dry. If I were aware of it, I would have try to get more moisture to come to the area a lot sooner. So anyway, it's been a lot of suffering for a lot of people, and our thoughts and prayers go out to all of them. All right, for this evening, we continue with Master Hsuan's instructions, and I'm told that there is some sort of a short presentation after I'm done, yeah? Okay, so tune in. All right, we are at slide 25, where Master Hsuan taught them about his disciples about praying to Wan Yin for help. In particular, it's too bad that some people died in a fire. Maybe they could have thought of this and asked for help from Wan Yin Bodhisattva, and they might have been able to get some help. Because Wan Yin Bodhisattva is a bodhisattva of great compassion, and whenever you feel you're suffering, that the suffering is unbearable, it's a good idea to ask Wan Yin Bodhisattva for help. Okay, that's her specialty. Her specialty is to help the people who are suffering greatly. All right. And as I said last night, there are other bodhisattvas as well. Once you understand the Dharma a little bit more, you see that we have a lot of conditions with a lot of great bodhisattvas who are standing by to help us when it's necessary. You find out. All right, continue with the slides, please.
你有了麻烦，就念南无观世音菩萨，那个麻烦就跑了。
When you are in trouble, just recite Namo Guanxin Pusat, then that trouble runs away.
麻烦就怕南无观世音菩萨，因为南无观世音菩萨能关那个麻烦的因。
Trouble is just afraid of Namo Guanxin Pusat, because Namo Guanxin Pusat can contemplate the sound of that trouble.
一看见这个麻烦因，麻烦因就跑了。
As soon as he sees the sound of trouble, the sound of trouble just runs away.
所以这是一个最好的方法，也是一个最妙的方法。
Therefore, this is the best way. It is also the most wonderful way.
Okay, so One Yin Bodhisattva, as I said, One Yin Bodhisattva is a bodhisattva who sits there and contemplates the world sounds. She's known as the Great Compassion because when she contemplates the world sounds, meaning that she contemplates all the worlds of all the living beings in the worlds, in the universe, whenever they are in trouble, okay? Whenever they are suffering, not just trouble, the key to it, to connect with One Yin is your suffering. It's not trouble. It's not that when you have some problem you call One Yin. No, when you are so troubled by your trouble, when you are suffering so much from your troubles, that's when you call One Yin Bodhisattva, and she will be able to hear you and come and relieve your suffering one way or the other. Okay? She does whatever she feels is necessary to relieve your suffering. Whether sometimes it's chasing the troublemaker away, sometimes it's helping you run away from a troublemaker, all sorts of things. Sometimes it's protecting you so that the troublemakers cannot harm you, and so forth. So it's quite involved. It's not as simple as it sounds here. This is for babies. It's for, back then, people didn't know a whole lot about the Buddha Dharma, so he really simplified a lot of things. But I want you to understand the clear picture here. She really very responsive to your suffering. Okay? If you say, One Yin Bodhisattva, help me win the super lotto, it's not a whole lot of suffering there. It's more greed than suffering. So don't expect One Yin Bodhisattva to come to your rescue right away. There are plenty of people, other people who are suffering a great deal, and she's busy taking care of them. Okay? So again, I don't want you to learn from these typical Buddhist monks and nuns and Buddhist disciples. The first sign of trouble, they call One Yin Bodhisattva. It's rather weak. Don't do that. She only helped you in order to help open your wisdom, not to indulge you at all. Self-indulgence, you call her and ask for help in order to get what you want in the form of self-indulgences, forget it. She's not going to respond to you. But if you cultivate and you're sincere in your cultivation, and part of your cultivation involves enduring suffering at times, it's much more than we can handle, than you can handle, then think of One Yin Bodhisattva as a very good source to help you. Again, last night I also brought up another great bodhisattva by the name of, let's say, Manjushri Bodhisattva. Like you're cultivating and you're stuck, you don't know what to do. The problem is so big, you don't know how to solve it. And you're at the end of your rope. You can call one Manjushri Bodhisattva, and he will come and help you with your wisdom. All right? So each Mahasattva has their own specialty. So don't keep bothering One Yin Bodhisattva. Okay? I hope you don't bother him too much. Like a lot of these monks and nuns I know, that's weak, and that's stupidity. Don't abuse her compassion. Okay. All right, continue.
我讲这个法，一讲出来，你说我也知道念观世音菩萨。
I speak this Dharma, and as soon as I speak it out, you say, I know reciting Namo Guanxin Pusa too.
但是到时候那麻烦来了，你就不会用，你就忘了。
But when the time comes in which the trouble arises, you just won't know how to use it. You will have forgotten.
I mean, they relate to you a story, experience of mine. When I was at Master Shinhua's temples, I was a nervous then. And I was being punished, so I was sent from City of 10,000 Buddhas to the Avatamsaka Sutra for that monk there to torment me and torture me and give me a hard time, hopefully make me leave if I can't make it. And so the drive, he arranged for a group of lay people. They rented a van back then, and they pooled together the money, rented a van, and drove from Calgary, Alberta, from Canada, which could become a 51st state. I thought I would. So ludicrous. But it makes sense. to Republicans. Anyway, and so they took turn driving from Calgary to Ukiah, and then they stayed there for a few days, and they drove back, okay? It's sort of like a pilgrimage for them, but the real objective was to go to pray to Wan Yin Bodhisattva, because CTTB was known to be the place where you can go to pray to Wan Yin Bodhisattva, okay? And you make the effort, and you tend to have good responses. And then that's one thing. And number two thing was to bring me back to Calgary. He's by himself, so he could use some help at the same time. So on the way back, these Vietnam people, they saw how strong I was to let me drive the whole time. It's like, I don't know, maybe 2,000-3,000 miles, 2-3 days. I drove straight. Maybe the guy would drive for 1 or 2 hours for me to sleep or whatever. But they saw how strong I was. I was pretty gung-ho. You know, I drove the whole time, never complained. And I figure since I was a novice, I was a nobody, so I'm lower than lay people, so it just makes sense for me to put in the most amount of work and to pay for my passage to the 51st state. and there was a section in Canada where you see signs of deers everywhere on the freeway. This is 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and they were sleeping. I was driving, okay, and it's funny. He also, the main gang leader there, he also had some ginseng to help him drive. Okay, he did a certain thing. He offered to me. I said, "No, I'm a monk. I don't do ginseng. What do you think? What are you thinking?" And so I was very gung ho back then, fearless and crazy and stupid. And so at 2-3 in the morning, I started noticing. I was wide awake. Everyone was sleeping and snoring away. And I started noticing the sign that says deer, lots of deers. Apparently those signs, later I understood those signs are warnings that there are a lot of deers crossing. And what happened is that sometimes the deer would be there in the middle of the road, Okay, and when they see the car lights, and they're blinded by the headlights, so they stand there. And in Minnesota, we would run over them, and that's how we get deer meat for the season. You like it, huh? That's what the Minnesota people do. Okay, it's illegal, but no one knows. Okay, yeah, at 2, 3 in the morning, yeah, everyone is asleep. So that's what they do. They run over a deer and then stop and pick up a deer, put it in the back of the truck and bring it home, put it in the freezer, and you have meat for the entire year. It's cool, so cool. So anyway, so I started seeing those signs, and I thought, there were some deer problems here. I was suspecting something already, not quite clear yet. Okay, at the time, I was reciting the Ta Bei Zhou, the Great Compassion Mantra, 108 times every day. It would take me about, walking around would take me about 15, 18 minutes. That's very, very fast for you. Okay, if I sit down, it would be a lot faster. But anyway, I was so I was maintaining 108 times the Great Compassion Mantra. So basically, every day you pray into One Yin Bodhisattva. Okay, and so I was driving, and I just was driving, not thinking about Great Compassion Bodhisattva, not even thinking about One Yin Bodhisattva. And then this section here, there's more and more of those signs. And all of a sudden, ahead of me, right there, is about just a distance away, I saw a truck parked on the right-hand side. Okay, and all of a sudden, it turned on the lights, and then it started going off. Okay, and I was going like very fast, because I like to drive fast for some reason. Okay, very impatient. And so the guy was getting out in front of me, so it was far enough for me to see him and then slow down before I caught up with him. So he slowed me down. Okay, and then about 3 minutes later, 5 minutes later, he stopped in the middle of the road because there was a deer there. Okay, and then after the deer left, we both passed through safely, and he sped away. Just like that. So he basically, the only concern for me back then, I didn't care because I wasn't worried about getting, I was only worried at the thought of the deer signs. The last thing I wanted to do was to harm a deer. I had plenty of deer meat already. And so I said, somehow in my heart, I said, I hope I will not hit a deer tonight. They're insured, so it doesn't matter. The van doesn't matter, okay? But that to hit a deer, to harm a deer, would be lacking in compassion. So I did not want to hit a deer. And somehow a car appeared from somewhere, slowed me down enough so that we both stopped to save a deer, and then he sped away so fast. Who do you think it was, you think? One Yin Bodhisattva. You don't even have to ask for help. That's my point. I knew then, I said, it's One Yin Bodhisattvas helping me. Okay, it's about compassion. When you deal with compassion, One Yin Bodhisattva will cooperate. Okay, you don't even have to ask for help. Isn't that cool? So that's why, stop it. Stop whining and asking for help constantly. It's so weak. I can't stand it. Suffer more. Don't ask before you suffer. Okay, continue, please.
但是到时候那麻烦来了，你就不会用了，你就忘了。
But when the time comes in which the trouble arises, you just won't know how to use it. You will have forgotten.
Yes, K YouTube has a comment.
네, 정인아님의 질문입니다. 아미타불 마스터, 겨울만 되면 우울함이 더 심해지는데 천사님의 법문을 들으면서 올 겨울은 잘 이겨내고 있습니다. 마스터와 스님들께 진심으로 감사드립니다. 질문드립니다. 제가 아는 동생이 희귀성 근위축성이라는 병을 앓고 있는데 현대의학에서는 병의 원인을 모르는 것 같아요. 지금은 휠체어를 타고 다닙니다. 근육이 다 위축되어서 손가락만 겨우 움직이고 아직 밥 먹고 말하는 것은 괜찮습니다. 근데 목의 근육이 위축되면 갑자기 죽을 수도 있다고 합니다. 제가 여쭙고 싶은 것은 이 희귀한 질환은 어떤 원인으로 발병되는 것일까요? 또 어떤 위패를 올리면 좋을까요? 역사 위패를 올리면 좋을까요? 추운 겨울 마스터와 스님들께서 건강하게 보내시길 기원드립니다.
This is a question from Jung-in-hwa. During the winter time, I feel very depressed, but thanks to your Dharma talk, I'm overcoming the depression. I always grateful for Master and the Sangha. My question is, I have one friend younger than me, and this person is suffering from rare muscular dystrophy. And in like modern times, we still don't know what the reason is, why this disease are happening. So this person is riding a wheelchair, and she only can move the finger. And I heard that if the neck muscle suddenly shrinks, then it also can lead her to the death. So like these kinds of rare disease, why does this happen? What condition makes these people suffer from rare disease? And for this person, what kind of plaque do we need? Do we need a medicine master Buddha plaque? I hope you have a warm winter. Thank you, Master.
I don't know. I don't know why people suffer behind these diseases. The causes they differ from person to person, and I don't have the spiritual penetration to see the causes. So I'm sorry, I don't know I don't really know the real causes. But you look at the problem right now, if it's a very advanced stages, and it's a lot of suffering, a lot of pain and suffering. And it's very difficult to undo it because she basically doesn't have use of most of the muscles already. Okay, so it's dire situation. I feel that it's probably too advanced of a stage to do something about it. Okay, I would prepare for the next body if I were them. Okay, because even if she gets some relief, it's how much longer, and what kind of life she's going to have. I'm more concerned about the quality of life that you could have, and whether it makes sense to justify that going or trying to achieve that sort of life. And to me, it's kind of too late to do anything about it. And I'm not sure that I can help either. We can help because, in some cases, because we have some prior experiences, so we're very clear about it. There are many cases where we don't know, to be honest with you. We don't know, we're limited. And so in some cases we have no problems helping because we have a good relationship, a good track record helping those cases. For muscular dystrophy, fortunately, I don't have a lot of good track record there. In theory, it's possible if it were done a lot sooner, a lot earlier. But this is way too advanced of a stage. Now you have to rebuild the muscle. You have to rebuild a lot of things in the body, which is too much work. Okay? And so in this case here, I would recommend that get 1 year's worth of medicine, Master Buddha blessings to help alleviate the pain and suffering. And then I would rather prepare for her to go to the Pureland. It's a much better use. Okay? Well, she'll never know suffering again. That's what I would do. Okay, is that the question? Okay, yes, 6, go ahead.
Thank you, Master. There are 2 questions here. Robin's Nest says, Amitabha, Master, in regards to choosing the right bodhisattva to pray to, Robin's Nest asks, is it more appropriate to call upon Das's Pusa when we need courage or strength instead of relying on Guanxi Pusa?
Yeah, absolutely. The reason that I brought it up, the different names, because, each one of them have a specialty. So, for example, Wan Yin Bodhisattva would be sitting there in her palace and looking for the sounds of suffering from living beings throughout the Dharma realm. So that's what she specifically is looking for. Each one of them specializes in certain tasks because there are quite a lot of them. They don't need to do everything themselves. Okay, so Wan Shi Yin specializes in rescuing people who are in great suffering, so provide relief for their suffering. Whereas great strength is more like a fixer, a problem solver, and so forth, and therefore he would help out in those cases. And many more bodhisattvas, for example, we've been studying the Avatamsaka Sutra, chapter 1 there, and you see a lot of mahasattvas there as well. And then we also are looking at some names in the Vimalakirti Sutra, and quite a few of those names are Buddhas as well. So you find a certain names there that you like and that sticks in your mind, you could ask them for help as well. Okay? It's about your choice. I don't believe, I believe in specialties. I know each bodhisattva have their own specialties, and therefore I don't want to bother them too much when it's not their specialty. That's all. But if you don't know, you can ask them, and they'll come, hopefully. Yes, 6.
Thank you, Master. There's another question here from Genevieve Obermeyer. Master, I have a habit of calling on Tara during moments of panic. Now that I am a Chan practitioner, is it disrespectful to the practice for me to continue doing so?
What's
Thank
Tara?
You. Tara,
Reading orders from which anyone knows? Well, explain more about Tara. I'm curious.
Well, in Tibetan tradition, I think there is different Tara, and I think the one I kind
What's a Tara?
It's a transformation of Guan Yin for, I think, green Chara.
Oh, I see.
But I'm not sure about white Charas. And
I see. Okay. It's when you ask for help, it's about your skills. Okay. For example, my skills are a little bit higher than yours. So when I ask for help, actually I get more consistent results than you. Okay. Because I know how to ask for help. That's why I don't ask for help. Once I know how to ask for help, I rarely ask for help. Okay? And it's only the people who don't know how to ask for help that want to ask for help. And so if it works for you, why not? Because the reality is that we will come to the end of our rope. There's so much we can do. Sometimes the problem is much bigger than we can handle. In particular, if you're practicing by yourself, you're practicing with the Tibetan persuasion, it's not a whole lot of help you can get from the lamas. In what I've seen so far, I saw one lama who's good enough, okay, but the other lamas, I don't think they can really help you. This is my personal opinion, and so yes, you can ask for help from those taras or whatever. But for us, we have a lot more, because if they're all based on Wanyin Bodhisattva, remember Wanyin Bodhisattva primarily is to relieve your suffering. Okay, all the manifestations that she manifests in Buddhism, the 32 transformation bodies of Wanyin Bodhisattvas that we recite in the Universal Door chapter of the Lotus Sutra, chapter 25 there. They're all about trying to relieve you from your suffering. There's a lot more Mahasattvas. So in short, you can ask Wanyin Bodhisattva, those taras, basically Wanyin Bodhisattva, they should work as well. Okay? There's nothing wrong with asking for help. But what I ask of you, I suggest that you should try it first. You give it a try first. Okay? Try your best. Give your all, give it your all. And then if it's still much more than you can handle, yeah, you can ask for help. But don't ask for help before you give it a try. Okay? They tend to ignore it. And even if you throw a tantrum, they will ignore you. They're not impressed. But asking, there's nothing wrong with asking for help in my mind. But know when to ask for help. Ask for help after you give it your all, after you exhausted all your resources. Okay? Yeah. But don't keep on asking me, oh, when you help me, when you help me. One yin would not like it, let me tell you. I don't like it, and one yin would not like it. Anything else? Okay, continue, please.
所以麻烦一来了，你就知道忧愁了。哦，怎么办呢？
So when trouble arises, you start to feel worried and anxious, thinking, oh, what should I do?
法华经观世音菩萨普门品说得明明白白。
In the wondrous Dharma Lotus Flower Sutra, the Universal Door chapter of Guanxin Bodhisattva clearly says,
若人多欲，你要多贪欲，多这种欲念，这个欲也就是个淫欲。
If one has a lot of desires, if you harbor a lot of greed, have many of these kinds of greedy thoughts, this desire is just sexual desire.
你要是淫欲心太重，就要常念恭敬观世音菩萨。
If your mind of sexual desire is too heavy, then you should constantly recite and revere Guanxin Bodhisattva.
你情感太重，麻烦一来了，不知道怎么好了，甚至于要发癫发狂的样子。
Your emotions are too strong. When trouble arises, you do not know what to do, even to the point of going insane.
你不要着急，你就慢慢等一等，念南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，不要大喊着念，要在你心里头念。
Don't rush. You just slowly wait a bit. Recite Namo Guanxin Pusa, Namo Guanxin Pusa. Do not recite loudly. You should recite silently in your mind.
你心里头有南无观世音菩萨的声，南无观世音菩萨的耳朵已经可以听见了。
In your mind, there is the sound of Namo Guanxin Pusa. The ears of Guanxin Bodhisattva have already heard it.
听见你心里的声，虽没有说出口来，他能知道，说这个可怜的孩子情感这么重。
Hearing the sound in your mind, even though it is not spoken out loud, he is able to know it. He says, "This pitiful child has such strong emotions."
没有法子控制情感，现在找我帮忙了。好了，我帮帮他的忙，把他这种麻烦给减去一些，就轻了。
He has no way to control his emotions. Now he is looking for my help. All right, I will help him. I will reduce his emotions, this kind of trouble, by a little. Then it becomes lighter.
Okay, well, let's take a break here and go back here. It's a lot of slides. Where were we?
I think we were on 31.
31? Okay. He does provide good insights into what Wan Yin does. And that's why even though he's teaching very low level students, Chan students, so he can take a lot of liberties, can be casual about the presentation of the materials, but actually he's pretty good, when it comes to the actual inner workings on how Wan Yin operates, he's not wrong. Okay, that's why it's worthwhile to study his teachings. All right. When trouble arises, to start to feel worried and anxious, thinking, "Oh, what should I do?" Okay, what should you do? Well, of course, when you have trouble, if you're lucky, you have a good knowing advisor. Then don't bother a good knowing advisor. Okay, that's what you don't want to do. If your good knowing advisor is a layperson, then don't bother any good knowing advisor because you are an idiot. Any layperson who has real wisdom would never want to be a good knowing advisor. That's contrary to the Buddhist teachings. That's why, only confused people would follow people like Fa Lun Gong. That guy is not a monk, okay? Or anyone who is not a monk, who is not a nun, is really not qualified. They don't have the wisdom. Look, 6-page chart, Great Master Hui Neng, okay? He was a layperson. He became enlightened, and before he could teach, he had to become a monk. He says, I cannot teach unless I become a monk. So he did become a monk. You see, the example is right there. And only idiots who don't know better would look at another layperson as a good known advisor. It's total confusion. If you like that, we really usually don't take you seriously because you ask this person and that person and that person. Just we are one of the 1,000 people you ask. Because when you panic and you ask and then it doesn't work, you jump to the next person, and you basically are really dumping the problem on someone else. That's all you're doing. Okay? So don't expect me to cooperate. And what should I do? Okay? Fair question. What do I do? It's important to me. And so it says in this Lotus Sutra, this great sutra of ours in Mahayana, all of you should read this sutra at least once. It's a very important sutra. It's very easy to read. And if you have an explanation of the sutra by Master Shenhua, definitely read it in whatever language that you have. Okay? My warning to you, Vietnamese translation sucks because these translators don't understand the Dharma that much at all, but it's still better. It's for some reason, the Master Shenhua's Vietnamese disciples, their level is so low that they all want to translate because then they can put the name on the as a translator or as a sutra. I'm of a different opinion. I don't want my name on there because if I'm a translator and I translate it wrong, I create serious offense. That's the last thing I want to do. It's not worth it to me. Okay? So before I translate, I would get my level, Somali level, to a certain point before I would consider translation. Okay? Unfortunately, I'm very upfront with you about this. The Vietnamese translation of Master Shenhua stuff is very, very low quality. No two ways about it. You're better off reading it in English if you can. Chinese, you can. Any language. Only because for some reason, and this they should have made it public, it's for some reason the people in charge of translation there, his Vietnamese translators are very low level. So they miss out on the real Mahayana Dharma. Mahayana Dharma, you need to look at the words, you need to understand what it means. That's a responsibility of the translation. Okay? And so definitely, if you can, read it in Chinese. Master Shenhua's instruction is Chinese, would be great. You do Sanskrit, do Sanskrit. Okay? Vietnamese would be the last resort I would read. Seriously. Okay? Because when you don't translate properly, you actually are twisting the Dharma a little bit. Okay? And it is a crime to me when you do that. Because you're infecting a lot of the readers. That's why used to be when I first started, I thought you had to be second stage arhat like traditionally when the Chinese translated the sutras from Sanskrit into Chinese, the rule of thumb of those people were that they had to be at least second stage arhat. That's what I also said. But now I feel that you should be at least fourth ground, 4G, before you should translate. Below that, don't bother. More chances of you messing up the Dharma than helping. Yes, if you're like a low level, the people can use the translation, but the corruption there, the seeds are planted in the readers, and that's the last thing I want to do, personally. Okay, so those of you who are interested in translation, I would not. I prefer you wait until 4G at least before you translate. Oh, of course, if you have nothing and you're not quite there yet, it's still better than nothing. But if you have to translate before you get to 4G, in my feeling, is that then make it a point to get to 4G after and correct yourself. Okay, so do a two-step. Okay, so challenge yourself. Yes, be humble, because I feel that especially Master Hsuan Hua's Vietnamese disciples are too greedy for recognition. It's a big organization, so they had to do something to justify their existence. And there's no need for that. Master Hsuan Hua never asked anyone to justify their existence. You contribute the best way we can. And they set standards for certification. And there's certification to English, but no certification of the other languages, which is a shame. Yes, 6.
Thank you, Master. Diego has a comment. Amitabha Master, I don't know if I'm in any position of saying this, but maybe I'm just being stupid. But I feel that their Spanish translation is not very good either.
Yeah, but that's all you have. It's still better than nothing. Okay? Sometimes you have to compromise. All I'm saying is that it's no absolute standards. I'm simply pointing out to you that we are not above it in some of our translations. Spanish translation, Portuguese translation, and so forth. The translation is quite not there. Vietnamese translation is not quite there yet. Okay? So we need to be upfront about it and say, no, we don't meet the standards. So we hope that this is a temporary thing in the future. We hope that we recognize it, we admit it, so in the future we will eventually have people who will do a better job. That's all. We have to be upfront about it and not pretend it's not there. That's all I'm saying. Okay? But it's no need to pretend that's all the same quality translation. It's not. English translation of Master Hsuan Hua is excellent. I would rate it A. Okay? Until you reach the advanced dharmas of Avatamsaka Sutra, of the Lotus Sutra, of the Shrangma Sutra, that's when it shows that they fail to understand the Dharma. Okay? But they're good enough. And so if I were Master Hsuan Hua, I would say, this is very, very good. Because he could look at the English translation and say, okay, this is the level. Just like when I looked at the Chan handbook they have, I said, Yeah, and this is for this particular level, because that's all the guy who called the information is able to reach, to educate or teach the next generation. Yeah, that level. Okay, so even though it's Master Xunhua's things, but because it's called and massage a little bit, so it loses its raw things. I studied Master Xunhua's Dharma raw. Okay, so it's not combined at all into Chan. I picked it up from this Lotus Sutra, Shrangwa Sutra, Avatamsa Sutra, and so forth, here and there, all over. Okay, but it's raw. Okay, but when they massage it and try to turn it into a Chan thing, it's not the same anymore. After you massage someone, and it's not the same person, is it? After you massage me, I feel so much better. I'm no longer myself. Okay, so that's why I saw that Chan handbook they have there. I said, okay, yeah, that's that level. It's not very high. Okay, not bad, but not very high. And that's so they distorted Master Xunhua, massage it into something much lower, unfortunately. Okay, and so the point here is that it's Master Xunhua who should have, to me, he really cared for. If I were him, I would care for the translation, because his purpose is to translate from Chinese into English. And I would not be happy. I would not stop at the current level. He should have said, instructed them. He said, one of the three things, translation. But he never really spelled it out for them. I would spell it out. I said, this translation that you have so far is most excellent, but it could be better. What does it take to be better? I want you to put your best men on this. Your best man is better off, because this is, you are guardians of this Dharma treasure. And therefore, my original explanation in Chinese as at this level, you translate at this level only, it's not good enough. I want you to bring it up, okay, where it's supposed to be. And that's your responsibility. You need to spell it out. If you don't spell it out, your disciples are stupid, Master. They're not, unless I tell you, you won't know the term. I said, do not follow a lay person. You're a total idiot. You follow a lay person. A real lay person who has wisdom, who has real wisdom, would never touch you. It would say, go to that monk. Go to that nun. Okay, YouTube.
임성배님의 질문입니다. 부처님을 접한 지 8년 정도 되는 남자입니다. 부처님을 많이 알지는 못하는데 지하철을 탈 때 주변 사람들을 위해 관세음 보살을 3번 속으로 부릅니다. 일종의 축복의 의미를 담아서입니다. 제가 미천한 신도인데 이렇게 남을 위해 축복해도 되나요? 저는 대승을 실천한다는 마음으로 하고 있습니다. 감사합니다.
This is a question from Kim Song-bae. I have a question, Master. I met Buddha about 8 years ago, and I don't know much about Buddha, but when I'm taking a subway, I recite Guanyin Bodhisattva 3 times for all the people around me. It's kind of a meaning of a blessing for me, and I'm just a low Buddhist follower. Is it okay that I bless people like for others? I just do it in a mindset of practicing Mahayana. Thank you.
Yeah, you could do that, but better yet, you just recite for yourself. Okay? Because when you recite Wan Yin Bodhisattva's name, when you maintain her great compassion mantra, you know what's going to happen? You practice the Dharma properly. Like right now, there is a fire in Los Angeles, and there's wind blowing. Yesterday it was like, is it yesterday before? Yeah, yesterday before yesterday, it was blowing like 80 miles per hour. Today, like 30, 40 miles. It's halved, so that now the airplane can fly to try to help out with the fire extinction, dousing the fires with the water. So you see, so there's lots of wind, and you know, if you practice, if you maintain, for example, the great compassion mantra 108 times a day, and wherever you go, or whatever breeze that blows through you and touches others, all those people will bring forth the Bodhi mind within 500 lifetimes. It says so in the sutra. There's so many ways that you can help others by focusing on your own practice. You remember what I said? I said in the story I told you earlier about my simple desire is that I did not want to hurt a deer. Now that I was a left-home person, I should be more serious about not killing deers. And when I did that, okay, the thing happened, and you know, it benefited all the other passengers, because if I ran to a deer that night, that morning, they were partially responsible themselves. It's their van, not mine. Okay, and so you see, you don't have to worry about helping others yet. Since you are early, you still don't have real good skills yet. You should focus on developing your skills, and then when the time comes, you'll be in a much better position to really able to help. Because what you're doing right now is called meddling. You help a little, okay, but it's not enough to really make a difference. I'd rather you focus on developing your skills so that you can really become an assistant of Wan Yin. Okay, and that's what I learned from that monk in Calgary, who's no longer a monk, who returned to lay life. Because I think he wanted me to return to lay life. It turns out he returned to lay life before I did. Don't have ill wishes to others, because you tend to be the first one to suffer. He's the one who taught. He said, Master Hsuan taught them that if you really want to practice the Wan Yin Dharma door, okay, recite Wan Yin's name, do it with the purpose of becoming Wan Yin Bodhisattva's assistant, so that she doesn't have to come and help everyone all the time. Maybe she'll call you and say, hey, you know what? There is an idiot somewhere at the Wei Mountain Temple. Can you help him? I'm too busy. He's not quite sincere yet. But, you know, if you have 25% sincerity, you get 25% help. Don't think you can fool bodhisattvas. You ask from one person, the next person, only because you refuse to do it yourself. Okay, so he taught me that one thing there is kind of cool. I would like one day to become an assistant of Wan Yin Bodhisattva. She never did that, by the way. She never called me and said, hey, help that person. But maybe someday she will. Okay? Yeah. So a short answer, don't do that. No need to do that. Just focus on increasing your recitation samadhi and eventually build a much higher level until one day you really are able to help. What you're doing right now is really insignificant help. It helps a little, but not that much. And the one thing that's I don't like about this behavior is that she asked me about it. If you really want to help someone, folks, you should help and forget that you helped. But if you help and then you say, Master, I helped someone today, is that okay? If you help someone, you should not even ask me because you should have forgotten already. That's true help. You see, you don't even know how to help. Okay? Learn how to help. Acquire the skill to help properly. Okay? Then it makes a difference. All right, going back to slide 33. One has a lot of desires. All the desires we have in this entire world is based on one thing. Whatever you want, a car, clothing, food, safety, love, whatever, is all based on greed. And the basis of greed is sexual desire. That's all. And you may not like what you're hearing, but so what? One day you see, if you really have wisdom, you see that there is a connection between all your desires. They're all transformation from the core desire you have is sexual desire. All right? And your mind is sexually too heavy, then you should constantly recite and review One Shi in Bodhisattva. This is explained in the Universal Door, chapter 25 of the Lotus Sutra. Okay. It says, if you have a lot of desires, especially sexual desire, lots of sexual desires, you simply recite and revere One Yin Bodhisattva, and eventually it will be under control. Okay? It says here in 35, your emotion is too strong, okay, meaning your desire is too strong. You're so afflicted. When trouble arises, you do not what to know, or do not know what to do, even to the point of going insane. It's known to happen, okay? Don't rush. Just slowly wait a bit. Recite number one Shiyin Bodhisattva, number one Shiyin Bodhisattva. Do not recite loudly, recite silently in your mind. Folks, this one Shiyin Bodhisattva Dhamma door here is a test of your sincerity. The reason you call out to her name and she doesn't respond because she knows you're not sincere. You're just a bloodsucker. You don't suck her blood, you will suck someone else's blood. That's why she doesn't bother with you. But if you are sincere, she comes right away. I'd rather teach you how to be sincere and practice, open your wisdom until you understand what sincerity means, instead of keep on asking for help constantly. One Yin Bodhisattva, Universal Bodhisattva, Great Strength Bodhisattva, and on and on and on. Again, there will be times when you need help. It's understandable. Okay? But don't ask for help constantly. Okay? Like, the old monk, the old abbot used to do that. He said after he got out of labor camp, when he had trouble, he couldn't find a job because he was basically blacklisted as phản động. What's 反动 in English? Okay, 反动. Hey, Chinese people, What's 反动? No, there's no such word in Chinese. Yeah.
Which dong is it?
心动的动. No? Anyway, and so he really struggled to find a job to feed his family, his children, and so forth. And he kept on asking Wan Yin, and eventually Wan Yin said, I'm tired. You keep me so tired, man. So she stopped responding to him. He said, I don't believe you anymore. That's called the behavior of bloodsucker. You think Wan Yin cares you believe or don't believe? Really? She's less of Wan Yin Bodhisattva when you don't believe her? She can't care less. She helped you because at the right time you get help. Okay? And then she stopped helping him. So he said, I don't believe you anymore. And years later, after he came and joined us, he started reciting again. And she came again. You see, Wan Yin is still Wan Yin. Doesn't matter. You believe, don't believe, still the same Wan Yin Bodhisattva. Trust me. Work on your faith. Work on your sincerity. Work on your kung fu. Okay? So recite silently in your mind. This is what we are, right? Okay. In your mind, if there is a sound, Namo Wan Shin Bodhisattva, the ears of Wan Shin Bodhisattva already have heard it. That's correct. You know? You don't have to say, Wan Shin Bodhisattva, Wan Yin Bodhisattva. Oh my God, Wan Yin, Namo Wan Yin. And make a spectacle of yourself. Okay? Don't have to. It's about your sincerity. It's not a spectacle. So if you're sincere, okay, you sincerely want and need help from Wan Yin, it comes from your mind. It's not from your mouth, not from your body, not from your behavior. And she would know it right away. Trust me. Don't try to fool Wan Yin Bodhisattva and convince her you're sincere and you have faith. She only pretends. Oops. That's a very bad omen, you know. Wan Yin Bodhisattva disagrees with me. It's an ornament. Okay, I take it back, guys. Can we just edit out all this section here? I think it's weird that it falls down. What is that? Silver? As you can tell, I really have no confidence. I'm overreaching. Hearing a sound in your mind, even though it's not spoken out loud, she's able to know. It's a she when you do Wan Yin in Chinese. It's a he in Tibetan, but it's a she in Chinese. It's a she in Korea. It's a she in Vietnam. It's a she in most countries. Okay? The Tibetans is a he. Okay? Because Tibetans, Wan Yin chose to become a male and very ferocious to scare those people. You can see, because they need to be scared. But for the other Asian cultures, it's a she. She's able to know. She says, this pitiful child has is suffering so much. 情感这么重, 这么重, meaning that he's suffering so much. It's not strong emotions. Oh my God. Okay? Suffering. 情感 is the feelings. Okay? Feelings. That's very heavy feelings. So don't be so literary here. You should understand the meaning of the Dharma behind it. That's why I would translate it as is suffering so much. Because that's what she sees. You can't fake it. He has no way to control his emotions. Cannot help himself. Okay? He has no way of helping himself. Okay? He's looking for 現在找我帮忙的. Now he needs my help. Okay? He's looking for help from me. Okay, I will help him. Okay? 把他这个重的麻烦给减去了一点。So this is kind of interesting. Okay? When it deals with emotions, okay, what she does, One Yin Bodhisattva does, he sees how afflicted you really are. Okay, your emotions are overpowering for you. What she does is reduce the intensity of your emotions, of your afflictions, so that it lightens a little bit, so that it's more manageable for you. Isn't it interesting? This is what most of the time what she would do instead of making it go away for you. Okay? Okay, that's the next section, I think. Yeah? Okay, continue.
若多嗔恚，你要发脾气的时候，千万先等一等再发脾气，先念几声观世音菩萨，然后再发脾气。
If one has a lot of hatred, when you are about to lose your temper, you must, by all means, wait a bit before losing your temper. First recite Guanxin Pusa a few times, then lose your temper.
Okay, so Master Hsuan appears to be teaching how to deal with the three poisons that we all have, especially Westerners don't know how to deal with their three poisons: greed, anger, and stupidity. Most people who go through today's educational system, it's basically a Western educational system. You don't know how to deal with your core issues, which is your greed, your anger, your stupidity. Actually, you worship it. For you, it's a good thing that you're greedy. It's perfectly justified for you to be angry and, of course, stupid, because you are so full of yourself. You think you know everything. You know everything. How come you're so sick? How come you're so depressed? But no one wants to look at it that way. Okay, so the second poison you have, the first poison is greed. Greed is based on it's you're having too many desires, which is based on your sexual desire. It's hard for people to understand this. You don't need to understand it. In the future, you will. When you have wisdom, then you see the connection. But trust me, Master Hsuan is correct. Okay? You don't have to agree with it, just shelve it for now. All right? Next poison, when you have a lot of anger and you're about to lose your temper, okay? And he says here, before you blow up, Wow, how about reciting One Yin Bodhisattva a few times? Okay? This is predicated upon you having a little bit of wisdom and having a little bit of faith in believing that losing your temper is not a good thing for you. If you don't even believe that, you don't even understand that, you say, I'm perfectly justified in losing my temper. This person needs to be punished, needs to be hurt because he's evil, because he's a bad person. All the good reasons in the world for you to lose your temper. Okay? And you don't need any help to justify your losing your temper, being angry. Okay? All we're saying here, what he's saying here is that, losing a temper is not a good thing for you. You really believe that? Okay? Then what you ought to do is to recite One Yin's name a few times. Because when you do that, it will reduce your temper. I think he will explain that next. Okay? And lighten your temper a little bit. That's all. And if you still have a lot of temper, then your temper is lessened and you tend to create fewer problems for you. Okay? So it's predicated upon, believe me, losing a temper is not a good thing. You got to really believe that. You never win when you lose your temper. Never, ever, ever be. Okay? That's all. That's all you have to remember. There's very few things, fundamental things, that if you take care of these fundamental things, that's how you open your wisdom, you become a better person, a gooder person. It's not, Daniel, it's not about, having a sharper tongue than someone else and so forth. It's not that important. At some point in time, when you get up there and then you have to show off, then you have to put down others. You're not quite there yet. Okay? When you become a CEO of the company, and then there's plenty of idiots who's vying for your position, that's when you need to put them down. Okay? And say, I'm the boss. I'm the big boss. You're not careful, I can your butt. Okay? But you're too low to worry about, the banter, going back and forth. That's meaningless. Okay? So let them win. Use a smarter one. You win. That's okay. Because it doesn't count at all. That guy looks like basically a pompous SOB to the third parties. You stick on being responsible, being humble, and a do-gooder. You guys, if you have a job, you should take this seriously. Okay? You don't have enough wisdom yet to express yourself, to fight others, and engage in fighting and arguing with others. Okay? Don't then. Insist, stay on the good side. That's always safe. It's always appreciated by the bosses. Yes, 6.
Thank you, Master. We have several questions here. Shirley Zhao asks, Master, why is it that a layperson with real wisdom still cannot be a good knowing advisor? What if they even become a Mahasattva? Thank you.
A layperson who is enlightened, they are not supposed, meaning they have wisdom, they're not supposed to compete against monks. Because the Buddha says, my Buddha Dharma depends Fa Yi Sen Chuan. Okay? It could be, people like to translate it as the Buddha Dharma relies on the monks for transmission. I happen to disagree. I would translate it as the Buddha Dharma relies on the Sangha for transmission. Sang is a San Jie. Okay, San Jie is Sangha. Okay, and so that's why, yes, initially we allow the monks to walk in front of the nuns. Okay, but once the nuns are enlightened, the monks who are low level should walk behind them to teach them a lesson of humility. Know your place. If you have no virtue, you have no wisdom, how dare you walk in front of someone who has higher level of samadhi and virtues from you? You are hurting yourself. And when I do that, my monks get offended. They say, oh my God, I'm a man, how can I do that? Because all the other temples, all the Dharma masters allow monks to walk in front of nuns, including Master Shenhua. You want Buddha Dharma for the 21st century, or you want a Buddha Dharma of the old days? Huh? It's up to you. You want the old Buddha Dharmas? Go out, get out, go somewhere else. We here, we don't discriminate. Once you are enlightened, it's no more gender discriminations, number one. Number two, do you know that this is what the young abbot taught me a long time ago? I was there, and I was a teacher at the school because they wanted someone who has a lot of education to teach the school, okay, their boys' school. And when I decided to sit for 16 hours straight, okay, word spread very fast overnight. Okay, and after that, I hyperextended my left leg. Left leg or right leg? I don't remember anymore. Left or right? I think a right leg. No, it's right leg. Yeah. Okay, this is more twisting here because I used to sit like this at the front, not in the back like right now. So it's a lot more stress on the right side. So I hyperextended my leg, probably the right one, and it hurt so much I could not move. So I was lying in my room on my bed, and the young abbot came in. Okay, I didn't know. These people, some reason, these Chinese, Taiwanese people, they walk to your room, they don't even knock, they don't even announce themselves. Okay? We don't do that in America, you know. When I give you guys a room, it's your room. Even I have to walk to knock on your door and ask for your permission. Okay? It's called respect. It's called respecting your privacy. I don't go there spy in your rooms. They do that. Anyway, they walked into my room. You know what the first thing he did? He half bowed to me right away. I said, these Chinese people. Their trick is that if you see a bodhisattva, you bow to them you take blessings away from them. And I was frightened because I was no bodhisattva. I tried to get up, I couldn't get up. I said, what do you think you're doing, man? Shame on you. But that's the first thing they do. They bow to you right away. You see the point I'm making? If you have wisdom and you're a bodhisattva, they want to suck blessings away from you. You see? And if you're a bodhisattva and they walk in front of you, they're losing blessings, you know. That's the Chinese wisdom. So when I let my nuns walk in front of the monks get offended because they're a bunch of idiots. I'm helping them create more blessings for themselves, but they're not grateful. Actually, they say, Master is weird. He likes girls. I do. Guilty. But I like them because they're better than you, idiots. Okay? Yeah. So anyway, I don't know how I got there, but go back to Wan Chi Bodhisattva. Yes, 6. Go ahead.
I have a few more here, questions here for you, Master. Cordelia asks, Amitabha Master, regarding reciting the Great Compassion Mantra 108 times a day, does it need to be during one sitting, or can it be throughout the day to make it 108?
Master Hsien-Hua, according to the way he explained in that sutra, this sutra about the Great Compassion, Wan Chin Bodhisattva, 1,000 hands and eyes, whatever. He says you should find a time where you would recite 108 times. It's a good idea, but it's not practical because for you it's very difficult. You cannot recite as fast as I can. Okay, I can recite very, very fast. A lot faster than you can ever imagine. So that's why for me to do 108 times is very easy. I'm done. Okay, but for you, it's not practical for you to do 108 times every day in one shot. So it's okay, you can spread it out. Okay, the Dharma has to be flexible enough. Next.
From Chris, can you explain if there are any prerequisites for practicing the 42 hands and eyes after transmission? For example, must we strictly maintain vegetarian diet and be extremely careful with precepts?
It helps. If you're a vegetarian, it helps. In particular, the more important thing is to avoid the onion and garlic, the 5 pungent plants. It's not good for the tantric practices. This is why the Tibetans, they're not that strict about the onion and garlic, the pungent plants. That's why when they recite the mantras, they lose a lot of effectiveness. It's like you have 2 people reciting a 42 hands and eyes. One is loose and eats onion and garlic. The other one doesn't, assuming they're the same level. Of course, this one here, who eats cleaner, would be stronger when he recites, has more power from the mantras himself. That's all you need to be mindful of. But even if you eat the 5 pungent plants, you still have a lot of power. So the idea here is to develop your samadhi power. That comes first. Okay? And so preferably, so the short answer is preferably you should refrain from onion and garlic and leeks and those things, dills and those things. But sometimes we can't help it. So that's how it goes. Was that the pungent plants? What else was the question about?
Let's see. And should we be extremely careful with the precepts?
Yeah, definitely. If I would prefer that the priorities would be the precepts and then pungent plants in that priority. Next.
Final question from Diego from the Spanish YouTube, from Jess. How can we activate our mind so that we can recite these mantras even when we are in a moment of anger?
When you're angry, don't recite the mantras. I have some people who they're afflicted and recite mantras to attack others. I remember this relative of mine who's getting his oral examination for his PhD in computer science. And there are 3 professors, and the 2 professors on the side are they will pass him already. And the 3rd one who's against his advisor, so that's why he's the one who will give him a lot of hassle. So during the oral examination, the antagonistic professor started asking him questions. And when you're a professor, you can really give anyone a hard time. Okay, most of your students, any PhD candidate, a hard time. So they both knew. The advisor knew it already. He knew it already, but it's not much he could do. The guy started asking. They expected him to ask a lot of questions. So the mother-in-law, who was a Vietnamese disciple who supported the temple a lot, and so she came to the exam there as a witnesses, and they allowed people to watch it, and she recited the Great Compassion mantra the whole time. And it turns out that 3rd professor, the 3rd unfriendly professor, became sleepy. He couldn't stay awake. And that's why I call abusing the Great Compassion mantra. It works, folks. And that's how that guy got his PhD. It's a relative of mine, so I know it first person, personally. Okay? And so don't use it to harm or to attack others. It's not right. It's funny that Guan Yin Bodhisattva helped as well. It's cute. All right, time is up, folks. I think you have something coming up. If you have time, you don't have time, you don't have to. Okay? It will be offline, only on Discord. It will not be recorded. All right, thank you.